Hey everybody, it's Dave Warner here with the Adobe Character Animator team, and we are back for episode 3 of Character Chat as long as my internet is still working, which it was not about 5 minutes ago, so that was fun. But today, I'm joined as always by Dan Ramirez. Dan, how are you doing? This side.
I'm doing great, Dave.
Very good. And we are joined by a special guest. We've got Emily Watts. How's it going, Emily?
Hello. I'm a little nervous. I haven't done a live chat with you guys ever. So this is my first live experience.
That's okay. I'm sure it'll go swimmingly, and we will not
We'll make
lose our
it weird.
connection. Yeah, we won't
I
lose
mean,
our
I'll make it
connection.
weird. Sorry.
Yeah, things will explode. It'll be great. So Emily, introduce yourself if people haven't heard or seen of you. You do a lot of behind the scenes stuff for us, but you all, you and your husband actually, have done a lot of awesome stuff for Character Animator. So tell people about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm an animator, but I'm a career changer. So I think I've been a full-time animator now for about 6 years maybe. And before that, I was also working with Adobe, but on the other side of the house doing web analytics. So complete career change. And I started the career change by picking up Adobe Character Animator in my free time, and then just tinkered with it until, I just worked through the beginner stages until now, where I would say I think, pretty advanced with the program. I get to help the team on testing out puppets and new features and creating puppets for different releases. And let's see, yeah, I work a lot with my husband, who's also an animator, and he's also a Character Animator power user, I would say. We recently rigged up a puppet for Nickelodeon for their NFL Slime Time NFL recap show, which is a weekly show, and they have a live host that's interacting with a character animator driven different Nickelodeon characters. So that was really fun. And before that, we also did another character animator thing for Nickelodeon, a show called Tuned In, where there was a robot host interacting with kids that got slimed if they answered questions wrong on the game show. So yeah, some cool character animator work, and yeah, it's all just my entire career in animation has been character animator pretty much.
That's awesome. I'm showing the video right now on your all's website, thewattses.com, and we're seeing a little bit of Tuned In here, which is great. Yeah, it had kind of this robotic arm face thing that kind of serves as the host, and you can see it here on the left-hand side. And then, yeah, of course, it's Nickelodeon slime. There it is, the character talking. So that is such an awesome project, such a cool idea too for a this live animated character doing a game show basically.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Erica, Emily, sorry, I work with someone named Erica. Emily, did I hear right that you got some slime from Nickelodeon when you were done?
What?
I did. They actually, well, at the end, they said anybody who wants to be slimed could go stand under one of the slime pipes and get slime dumped on them. But I had already, during the taping, some of the kids had almost hypothermia from the temperature of the slime. They had to put on those foil blankets on them after they got off camera. So I bowed out of that experience, but I did hand them a little mason jar and said, "Could you give me some slime?" Because I'm of like the Double Dare generation of Nickelodeon, where it was slime everything. So I do in my office have a little jar of slime that they also told me. They said it is like food quality product because it's dropping on kids' faces, so it has to be edible. So they told me, do not open the jar because it will be, if I'm just sitting it on my shelf in my office, it will be rancid if I open it up. So yes, I have like truly radioactive green Nickelodeon slime sitting on the shelf.
That's amazing. We have a question for you, Emily, from the chat. Joanna is asking, how did Emily get to work with Nickelodeon? How did that whole process start?
They just reached out and they were looking for specifically a character animator resource. So I think all of my jobs have just been word of mouth. It's been someone reached out to someone and said, who's a good rigger with character animator. So that kind of helps too on the Nickelodeon stuff. We had to go in studio to film the game show, and so yeah, it was just lucky of living nearby, and then someone reaching out saying, "Do you know anyone who does Character Animator?" And I had before that worked on a show. I don't know if you guys remember the mobile phone network Quibi that raised like $2 billion and then crashed and burned in like a year. But we were doing a daily animated show on that. So just by nature of kind of being on that team, there were 24 of us animators on there. Then you just kind of meet a lot of people who are kind about throwing your name into things. So
Yeah, we're looking at this too right now on the stream, and this was crazy because this was a daily animated show. So you guys must have been just just crazy, like animating so many different episodes. This is amazing.
it was truly exhausting. So there was one episode every day for every zodiac character, like what is it called? What do you call it? Zodiac sign.
Yeah.
And so that means there's 12 signs, and every day it was a 2-minute episode with there was an actual astrologer, so it was genuine. If you're into astrology, it was Eliza Kelly, celebrity astrologer, gave a horoscope, a real one, and then we animated a 2-minute kind of sitcom, office sitcom about that horoscope every day. And so we each got 2 days to do our episodes. That's why there was 24 of us instead of 12. So every other day we had an episode due, and it was 2 minutes long. They often had 4 or 5 different characters in it, and you had to animate 2 minutes for each of them. It was a lot. It was kind of starting early in the day, and by the end of that year, I had, shoulder problems, and I was wearing like a wrist guard in my mouth. I had, oh my gosh, I just was sitting in special ergo chairs, but it was a physically challenging experience to animate for, just 10 hours a day, every day. It was not easy, but it was fun. And like I said, the stuff like that, you meet a bunch of people, and then they just kind of drag you to new experiences. That's kind of my experience in networking. I'm not great at doing like networking events where you go and hand a card and talk smooth. So I don't really do a lot of that, and I still have gotten all my jobs through, I would call it quote unquote networking, but it really is just working with people, right? Like I don't really do great at schmoozing, but I can work on projects with people, and then, as long as you're a good team member, they'll help you out.
That's amazing, and I think that's great. I think a lot of people have that, and I think I saw in the chat people asking, like, how do you get started, like, getting jobs for Character Animator? It sounds like you just, like, one thing led to another. You said, like, word of mouth. You've, of course, got the portfolio online, which is great, resource for people to check and say, oh, yeah, she can do, this work, or she's worked with these different brands. And it seems like it's just kept building and building, which is awesome. Do you have any advice to people who are out there that maybe would want to look for jobs for character animator type jobs? Like, is there any advice you would give to people just starting out?
Yeah, first I would say create your own content. And I know that's easier said than done. We all have jobs. I had a full-time job when I started to transition, and you're exhausted, and I get that. So I'm not saying I think it's super realistic for everyone to just launch a full show, but you'd be surprised how much you can learn from maybe making one episode of a 3-minute short a month and like putting it up on YouTube and just having that. It is surprising. You don't actually see a lot of people who do kind of the end-to-end content and understand all the different aspects of, putting a show together. How do you get the audio track in place? How do you, do you need to edit the scenes together in After Effects? Do you need to do some, after you comp it, do you need to do some editing in an editing program? And so if you kind of force yourself to learn the full process, even on a very small scale, just for yourself, I do think you become this really valuable asset. I know that then when you do get a job, you will be very specialized, right? Like you'll just do the character animator. You won't even comp in After Effects. You definitely won't touch the audio, whatever. But there is something very valuable about just knowing what those other parts entail, because I think you just do your work a little differently with a little bit an eye toward what those other people are going to need in the pipeline. So I would say just try to make your own content end to end, because you will learn a lot from that. I think it's hard to learn from just doing tutorials and kind of like the specific skills. Like force yourself to make something, because that's where you'll stumble upon issues and have to troubleshoot things, and it gives yourself a goal. And that is truly how I got started. I was, like I said, I was working in web analytics. I was not at all in a creative field. And I just started posting these little shows I was making called The Weather Girls. I just posted on my YouTube channel. I did not even get that many followers. I think it was like mostly my friends and family, but it was just like enough for the learning process. And honestly, like that's how I connected with the Adobe folks,
Yep.
because I was like deep in trying to get this show together, and I would come up with, just would finally hit a wall on like, I cannot figure out how to fix this. And I would, go on the Adobe help forum, and someone would reach out and help. And it's just the connection through making is where I got started. And I think it can come pretty organically from that. And then I would also say, like, don't worry if like Nickelodeon is not reaching out to you. I mean, that took me several years. And the first ones I did were, there's a lot of churches, there's a lot of schools. I did like little gigs for churches and schools that are doing really like cute and creative educational content, and they were small projects. I did a little infomercials for irritable bowel syndrome foods, like, like you
I want to
just
see
give
that
her-
one.
Yeah.
It's actually decent food. I'm not saying I'm like a huge customer, but I did taste it while I had them as a client. So just take the jobs that you can get, because you learn so much from each of them. And then, Nickelodeon or someone will come calling eventually. But, all the jobs are good. They're all really helpful. And even just creating your own content in the meantime, I think will get you pretty far.
I think that's that's great advice, and I think that's what we hear a lot is we work in such a visual medium, right? And so to show the skills you've got, you could list them on a resume, but it's so much better to, like you said, just do an end-to-end workflow, make your own series, or cartoon shorts or whatever, envision what you want to do and then make that and put that out there. And I think it's great also seeing all these different jobs, right? We don't all start out with the Nickelodeons and the Disneys. We're starting with the irritable bowel syndromes, and it keeps moving up. And I think that's really good. We're seeing in the chat people saying Mike Jar is saying he does an end-to-end 3 minutes every week. I think that's exactly what you want. Like, that's really impressive, doing that much every week. And I think, obviously you keep learning and getting better every time as well. Dan, you haven't said anything. What's up? I don't know. You want to chime in? How are you feeling about what Emily's talking about and what you've seen in terms of people doing character animator, freelance and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I guess I've been on the other side, right? I'm on a development team building a piece of software, and we want people to use it. And building software is very different than using software. And you obviously want to use your own software, but any moment you're using your software, you're not writing code, you're not testing. So it's been really gratifying for me working with people like Emily, and totally learning things, right? Like, I know a lot about the program, and I'll say that I'm a very good rigger in the program. But animating, I'm actually not a good animator. So Emily and John, her husband, have built some animations for us, and it's been really fun, like just diving into how they're made. Our starter mode is kind of when I saw a lot of the potential for these really great pre-built animations, and there's a puppet that came from a puppet maker puppet. I think Leonard was the original. Noodles is the puppet maker puppet. Leonard is the starter puppet. But I just absolutely loved how it was animated. So it's fun for me to just dive into what our customers do, break it apart, and try and learn. Because I'd like to get better at it. It's honestly embarrassing for me that I'm not a good animator. So yeah, that's just kind of my side. And yeah, it's really fun seeing, because I've seen when Emily was Weather Girls, and it was a great story for us. And we invited her to Comic-Con to talk about how
That's right. Yeah.
how you can build your own content and, you know, work on a show, but that's very different than then being hired as a professional animator for big name studios. So it's been really fun watching Emily's career from, you know, the other side of the the business, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone is asking, Windsor Raps is asking, I'd be curious to see what you all feel about this. With short form content being the wave, is a full series show the way to go? So would it be better to make little things on like Instagram or TikTok or things like that, as opposed to longer form or, you know, long form being like 2 or 3 minute episodes? Emily, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say, okay, I'm gonna come at this from the perspective of I've had the opportunity to pitch to some pretty big studios, which just came from doing the Weather Girls, right? And just I was on that panel with y'all at Comic-Con, and then met someone who, you know, brought me to Netflix and Apple, and we went to Comedy Central, we went to Cartoon Network. Okay, so we pitched all these big things. I did not sell the Weather Girls, so jump to the story. There's not a success story behind it, but some kind of existing success needs to be there. So it could be a toy that sold well. It could be you wrote a graphic novel, you had a book, or you have a very popular Instagram or TikTok channel. And so, yes, that is why I would probably, if it were me, lean toward just short form content, because I think especially on TikTok now, you have a pretty good opportunity of something going viral. I think it's a little harder on Instagram now to build up the following as quickly, but supposedly their algorithm is going to get a little better soon. I don't know. But TikTok, I think you can build a big audience really fast. And I think if you're talking about what is the best place to invest your time in order for you to sell it to someone bigger, that is probably where I would go. I think it's easiest to build a big audience on a short form social media platform than it is, like, I think it's really tough to get a huge following on YouTube now, doing longer stuff. Although Dave, you have a big following, so I don't know. Maybe I just can't do it, but you have a lot of fans on YouTube. But that would be my thing, is just try to get really popular, doing something quick, and I think that becomes sellable.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think I'm no surprise. The big reason that I got subscribers on YouTube is because it's the only place for, you know, character animator tutorials. And so we kind of funneled everyone there. And because of that, so I highly recommend, if you can make a channel doing videos for a new product and you're the only one making tutorials about it, I highly recommend doing that for, you know, a Fortune 500 company. But if you're not, yeah, I totally agree. And we see this all the time on TikTok and Instagram. Are people making videos, and they might, you know, it still might be like a 60-second video, but they'll tell a little story or have a little back and forth dialogue about something. They have recurring characters showing up. Yeah, and a lot of times those, you know, because those are so different, right? People are used to seeing the same, it's people dancing or people doing this, and then all of a sudden they see an animated dog, and they're like, oh, wait a second, this is interesting, this is different, and it kind of catches their attention. So I think it's easier, to me at least, it feels like it's easier to build an audience on those platforms and have it grow up. It's so easy to just, you know, you're flipping. I mean, think about how quickly you move through Instagram or TikTok posts, right? It's like I move through them so quickly, and you know, if there's something I really like or think it's funny, then yeah, I'll look into it and maybe subscribe for, you know, future stuff. That feels a little bit easier to do with that kind of short form content, but yeah, it's great advice. I don't think there's any one way to go about it, right? I think you can kind of attack it what you feel like, and if it's not working one way, try another way and see what happens, you know?
Agreed. The key that you said there about, you know, it's a lot about what you have the most fun doing. If you would have fun making a graphic novel of your character and your story, then do that. It's whatever you can do consistently, I would say, and long term, and enjoy. Don't feel like if you have to do TikTok, because we said TikTok is a quicker way to build an audience right now. If you feel good with longer episodes on YouTube, then stick to that, because I think consistency is the key.
Yeah, totally agree. In the chat, we're seeing Jake Witzke, who I've seen multiple times asking comments in the Character Animator in the YouTube tutorials, says, I'm so close to finishing an 8-episode series, roughly 24 minutes an episode, that I animated all in Character Animator. I've been working full-time in Character Animator for a few years now. Thankful for all you guys do. That is awesome, Jake. That's so cool. Congrats. Please definitely let us know when that launches, and we'd love to see it. And that's awesome. Yeah, we've heard of broadcast length shows. Someone did a movie, an animated movie or a couple people did movies that they've like submitted to festivals and things like that. So it's cool to see Character Animator being used in these kind of more long form things as well. So I think that's really cool. I can't wait to see that. So congrats, Jake. That's awesome. Chris is saying here, Chris Hoffman saying, lots of presenters at Adobe Max also recommended getting a following, which shows audience interest and strong portfolio pieces. Even simple animation is really impressive for a lot of freelance clients. And I like that on your site, Emily, you've got just a variety of a bunch of different things. And you've got the 2D work and 3D work. It really clearly, I think within a couple minutes, someone can really easily see what you are capable of and your scope. And I think if you want like a good portfolio to check out, I would definitely recommend checking out John and Emily's portfolio, because I think it does a great job. I'll put it in the show notes in the description here so you can check it out later. But yeah, very cool stuff.
Thank you. I will say one thing my portfolio is not great at is it doesn't have a really very cohesive look and feel, because I didn't do all the illustration on a lot of them. So that is one thing that when I get professional feedback from folks, they say it might help if you had a more cohesive look and feel. I'm just putting that out there so you don't copy mine exactly, because I think it is weaker in that sense. But yeah, my main thing was I am very bad at keeping up on my own social media and posting things. I'm very bad at keeping up a portfolio, so I had to make a website that literally just kind of let me put one picture, one video of each thing, and that's all I need to update. If it's too fancy or too pretty, I won't keep it up to date. And then yeah, that way I just put everything I do, which sometimes has a consistent look and feel, but not really. So I think if you are coming from the place that you maybe don't have a lot of like big name clients or something yet, but you can create your own content, then yes, make a lot of examples and have them have like kind of your look, a specific design aesthetic. And I think sometimes having that specific look, you worry like, oh, am I gonna turn off people that are looking for something different? I think you're better off having like kind of a niche and a look, and that will find the right group for you than being a little all over the place, which admittedly mine is.
Good point. Dan, I want to throw this question to you if you have any quick ideas here. Veronica is asking, where can I go for help on rigging a walking puppet with a knee-length skirt? Would you recommend having 2 versions of the same puppet, or one with head and body turning and another walking? Basically, any suggestions about rigging with a skirt and how the legs might, look like they're under it or bump into it or whatever, that sort of thing. Is that even possible?
Yes. So pretty recently, it was in version 22.5, we released a feature called Leader Follower, and it's a little tweaky to set up, but I've rigged a puppet, the Sam puppet. She's like a Supergirl. She's wearing shorts, but I put like a longer skirt on her, and then I put follower handles on the skirt and leader handles on her knees and legs, so that when she walks, the skirt would follow the knees, and it allowed the skirt to, bend in a way that I thought looked pretty cool, and that was specifically with walking. So the new motion library behavior, if you rig your puppet to work with that, I like the walks in that. Our walk behavior right now is old enough that it's starting to show some signs of wear and tear. So I prefer doing the walks in motion library, but the same leader follower tip would apply to that walk behavior too. And then I just wanted to call out a couple people I saw in the chat. Chris Hoffman I ran into at Adobe Max, so good seeing you on the chat. and Digital Puppets. Those guys are always great. We work with them pretty frequently, and it's nice seeing them in the chat. Oh, and then just kind of a pro tip. If you're sitting here going like, man, I'd like to like dip my toe into doing a 30-second TikTok video, but I don't know what to do. I don't want to spend days on it, maybe hours. I think one of the sweet spots for cartoon animation in these shorts is to use the 3D camera tracker in After Effects. And then you can insert a character into a 3D scene. So you could even take a video that's already gone viral, and then like insert a little yellow dog that does a reaction shot, right? And like you can put it into the scene, and it's really easy in After Effects to put a shadow down on the ground. So when you hit play in the video, maybe it was shot on a phone, like that little character stays in the scene, like really well integrated. Anyway, I just thought of that, and it's something I'm not gonna do. So somebody else should do it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if anyone's interested, there was a tutorial about this mixing animation and reality, it's called, tutorial that'll show you the basics of, compositing, how to take this footage to track it, put a character inside it, and do all that stuff, add a shadow to make it look a little bit more realistic, all of that stuff. And I think, yeah, I completely agree. Like, that's an immediate way to just, oh, this animated character showing up in reality, like it just leads to kind of an interesting look that, again, will catch people's attention. With social media, you got to have that initial hook, right, to bring people in. And I think this sort of thing, having an animated character in front of, all sorts of different stuff is the way to go. And this one I also talked about, like making a walk cycle and walking across, things like that. But yeah, you get some really interesting stuff there. So totally agree with that. Earlier this week, I want to switch gears a little bit. Earlier this week, we released this new web-based tool, and this might have been a surprise to some of you. It's like, wait, what? Character Animator on the web? What are you guys doing? What's happening here? This is a collaboration. We worked with the team Adobe Express. If you haven't used it, Adobe Express is really awesome. It lets you create just really easy designs, a lot from templates, or you can start from scratch, and just a lot of tools that you can use to make really great posts. And we wanted to team up with them. They have this whole suite of things called quick actions. And the quick actions are these things that basically allow you to, these types of things: resize video, trim video, crop, turn a video into a GIF, remove background. They call these things quick actions, and they basically allow you to really quickly just do a certain task and then get your file and get out of there and do whatever the next thing you want is. In this, and we collaborated with the team thinking, could we do something like this for character?
Oh no! Did we lose Dave?
Oh no!
I lost your audio, Dave, but
He's back.
Am I back? Okay.
Yeah, I think we survived.
Okay. I think I was getting too long-winded, and the stream was just telling me, "Hey, get to the point, buddy." So hopefully, I'll try to do that. So basically, all right. Long story short, we made a cool tool here that you can do. So I can pick any of these characters. I think we have about 39 characters that you can choose from. This is a website anyone can go to, completely free. Here's that Sam character that we were talking about earlier, and I'm just going to pick this character, Yuko. And actually, you know what? I'm going to pick Leonard because Emily made this character, among others. And then I can pick a background. Let's see. Am I still cutting in and out, or is it okay?
I hear you.
You hear me? Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. We'll check it out. So then I can pick different backgrounds, which aren't loading right now because my internet isn't messing up. But let's just do maybe this background here. And then I've got different sizes I can choose as well. So Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. So if I want more of a square look or vertical look or whatever, I can do that. And then it's really easy. All I have to do is press this record button and record some dialogue. So let's go ahead and click this, record. I want to be the very best, like no one was before. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. No, I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Teach Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. We'll stop right there. And what it's going to do now is take that. I think I messed up the lyrics in a few parts. Sorry about that. But it's going to take this and it's going to process it and take that audio and add not just the lip sync, but head movements, pupil movements, eyebrow movements, even arm movements, pre-made auto-generated arm movements. So all you have to do is input your voice, or you can upload an audio file, and Character Animator is going to analyze that and then generate the animation for you. And then you get out with a nice MP4 video based on the size and the character and background, and you're good to go. So Emily, you helped us out with a lot of this creation. How what are you thinking of this, and how you've seen it kind of evolve over time?
Yeah, the thing that I really like about how this processes the movements is it actually gives a bit of more of a pose to pose feel that I think people sometimes struggle with to get in Character Animator. They get, they're doing the camera and they just kind of get these floaty characters that are kind of in constant motion. And I don't know the Adobe Sensei part that is analyzing your audio. So I'm just interpreting what it produces and what I like about what I see. But it seems like it's listening to like the beats in your speech. And then I do know that it has different triggers for when the character is silent, and then maybe it's going to drop its hands, and then different ones for when they're talking. But it does kind of hit poses. And so that's what I helped with. So I helped just create these poses, this one, and fairly generic, because it doesn't currently have like a semantics engine, or it doesn't listen and see is the character mad or happy or whatever. So
Right.
it needs to be fairly neutral poses, but talking with your hands, and when you talk, you do this and hold, and then maybe when you're silent, it's kind of like that, or you do something like this. And so we tagged them in the background in the puppet as this is silent trigger, this is silent trigger, and then this is a talking one, that's a talking one, this is a talking one, and then it hits those poses. And I don't know what Sensei is. It Sensei? Is that the name of the AI, right?
Yep.
Dan Wilk is the name of the AI.
Yeah, Dan Wilk.
Yes.
So he is somehow deciding what in the speech, hits this, and it's remarkably good. Like, you'll do something like, I've been using this weird commercial that I read off the back of like a box of products, and it'll hit it'll be like, do you have fruit flies? And it'll know to like do it on the fruit flies. It's pretty cool. So there's something about the cadence and the pose to pose style that I think is super cool in this.
Yeah. Ooh, I gave people a sneak peek at something coming soon. Color Picker, not released yet, coming out soon.
Oh,
Actually, no,
elite.
this is the main thing. So I think it was just updated yesterday. So this is the cool thing about this. Like, we are deploying things like crazy. Like as we're getting feedback, after you create something, there's a little feedback form, and people are asking for specific things. And one of the things was, hey, could I make my own custom background color? And Yansha on our team said, yeah, sure, why not? And then, 5 minutes later, has figured out how to do this cool color picker thing. So, and I know Dan has been updating, Dan and Emily, I should say, have been updating some of these puppets as well to, add more arm movements, add more expressions, things like that. So it is changing quite a lot. I was going to show the video, but I think my audio, my microphone settings are due for the stream instead of working for this, so it didn't look like it was catching my microphone in the correct way. But I'm going to let you all do this on your own and see how it works, and give us feedback how it's working, because this is in beta. See a little beta tag here. So we know this isn't perfect yet, and we would just love to hear what you think, because not only do we want to make improvements to this and make it a little bit better, but we have other ideas about where this could go in the future. I mean, our goal has always been to make animation accessible to a really wide audience, and something like this, you can kind of see, okay, this is a great start in that direction, and I hope there's more in the future. So yeah, check it out. We'd love to hear what you think. All right, I've been ignoring the chat recently, so let's see. They're saying, why did I stop singing Pokemon? Yeah, because the viewer count was just plummeting. No, I'm just kidding. Windsor Raps is saying, I tried out the Animate From audio beta on my phone. It's legit. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing, is this works on a Chromebook. This works on a tablet. This works on, probably your Motorola flip phone. I don't know. If it has some sort of browser to it, it probably will work there too. I'm not sure. Let's see what else. Red Fred Pro is saying, are there plans to expand functionality for nested scenes, such as opacity, muting audio channels, keyframing, etc.? Ramirez, you're kind of the nested scenes expert, I think, and Emily, you've done a lot with that. Any advice for Red Fred Pro here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally the guy that would want extended functionality and nested scenes. Not many people use them, so we definitely are still supporting them, but at least at this point, we're not planning on adding any new features to nested scenes. But in my biggest dreams, I'd love to see nested scenes used for like building replays, because if you build a replay, it's kind of then stuck into this copy and paste chunk that isn't very editable, and I would love to dive into that and be able to make little changes and then have it filter through the Puppet. So I don't know, I'm still holding on hope there.
Makes sense. Yeah, so Gaber is saying, can head turns be smoothed? Can you do like things to make it feel more smooth, like adding smart bones or things like that, or different things to do the turns? So right now, there's kind of a hacky way to do it. There's a head turns and parallax tutorial that I put out, and basically it's pretty hacky. Like you gotta tag things, multiple things as the head and or nose or whatever, and as you move, these things move back and forth. And it's totally possible. But yeah, I think we have always wanted better parallax support. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if there was a parallax behavior, for example, that would allow you to do this and specify smooth things and say, the nose should look like this when it gets to this size, and this when it goes up and down, all that sort of thing. So I would hope that's something that we do in the future. That feels like a natural evolution to me, but nothing to announce today. But yeah, that's right now I would say check out that head turns and parallax hack thing, and that's probably the best way to go. So
I'm going to answer a question from the chat.
Go for it.
Pina Boy Tunes, about kind of a Mars Attack style character with the head moving independent of the space helmet. So the head is inside the space helmet. The space helmet. Yeah, that's interesting. You definitely want the, gosh, I shouldn't have. Now I'm having to think it out in the spot. That's a really good question. Since the helmet would be semi-transparent, you really could put that in the body and just put it up above the head. And at least for me, I prefer an independent head, and then I parent that to the layer ahead of that, which is usually the view layer, like a frontal group or a left quarter group. The benefit to that is I can then apply a face behavior to it, and I get head tilt without body tilt. And then if I put a face behavior on the body, I can also get body tilt from that too. So it's a little tweaky, but that's how I'd do it. I'd have an independent head parented to the body, and then that body would also have the semi-transparent dome on it as well.
And I think, Emily, if I remember correctly, like you helped rig this character, the alien character that actually has its head inside a capsule here. I don't remember how much rotation it has or not, but this might be a good one to just check out. This is, I think this character is a style in Puppet Maker. It may also be a starter mode character, but yeah, this is one I would definitely check out.
Yeah, that particular one doesn't really have a neck. So
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure if I made the head independent or because his neck was so thick, if I kind of just left it. But yeah, it's a similar idea. He has different shaped domes that his head moves around inside. But
Yeah.
it's funny. It's like I don't know off the top of my head where the helmet is. I am of trials and number of errors goes down significantly. Once you get like better at it, you can trial and error 2 ways and it works. But it's still a lot of like, because it's so unique to what specific is the artwork, like what layers are there and how do you want that specific one. So they're all kind of a little different. There's always like multiple ways you could do it.
Yeah.
So.
That is, I feel the exact same way. Like, I mean, I use Character Animator every single day, and some things still are a complete trial and error process. It's like, I think this is how it works, but let's try it. And that's, like, I make stick figure prototypes all the time. People, like, you might see in the Adobe forums, if someone has a question, like, there was a guy the other day said, I want to have a character with a cane. And I want it to stay to the ground, and as the character moves around, have the cane kind of pivot. And I was like, oh yeah, how would you do that? And so I just made like a simple shape, rectangle in Illustrator, tried to rig it up, and how I thought it would work. That didn't work. I went back. That didn't work. And then finally, like 3 or 4 times, I tried saying, "Oh yeah, this is working." And oh yeah, that's why I made this fix and removed the limit case. Whatever I did, I don't even remember. Check the forums if you're interested. But that sort of stuff happens all the time, right? That's important way to do it. So I would check that out. Someone's calling me. I'm going to turn that off. Yeah. Other things in the chat, Windsor Raps is saying, hey, any hopes of using your own character animator, your own characters in the web-based tool in the future? So yeah, that's an interesting thing, because I think right now the hardest part about Character Animator is creating your own characters, particularly if you're creating them from scratch from Photoshop or Illustrator. So I don't know the reach that tool would have, but I think if there are ways to making a character easier, something like that I could see happening. Like the Puppet Maker, for example, in the desktop version, I could see a future where maybe that is something that's on there. Or you have these characters, like I've got Told the Cat, but maybe I can change his color or add glasses, something like that, some limited functionality like that. My guess is, for completely custom things, that will probably be always for the desktop. That seems like where the most power is needed and the most customizability, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. For your characters online, but or on the desktop, for the more kind of pro user. But I think for the wider audience, you would probably want something that's a little more streamlined. So like I said, like right now we've got these 39 characters, but I've already heard feedback like, give me more. And even if we had 1,000 characters, I think people would still be like, oh, that's not enough. A lot of people do want to make their own characters look like them, have these colors on them, that sort of thing. So it's a lot of things we're thinking about. Again, nothing to announce right now. We're just kind of talking about some ideas of where this could go. But yeah, it's pretty exciting where the future is headed with all this stuff. So we will see.
And on a related note, like Adobe's always really valued our partners, and I previously worked on the After Effects team, and really the success of After Effects is maybe not entirely, but it's largely because of their third-party ecosystem, and that team really respected the input on its partners, and I think there's probably some really cool ideas in the future to have like content creators like you guys make your own puppets and be able to have that, like your own customers use a website similar to this. It's all kind of above my pay grade, but I think we'd be really excited in having that partnership on the web too, because I think it's a lot easier to get people to use a website than to say like, all right, now download this professional application and use it for maybe kind of modest needs.
Emily, you look deep in thought. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, that did just get me thinking. So there is in Character Animator the compute head movement from lip sync, right? Which is like, or from audio, right? Which is a similar idea, but it seems to work differently. It seems like it is generating everything, right, for you. It's not playing off of the way these quick action ones work, where we have told it, these are the 10 different poses you should hit on peaks in the voice and silences. And so I'm just wondering if that's what the person who asked the question, if that's what they were thinking, is this functionality where you could tag your own triggers in your puppet and say, this is a talking trigger, or this is a talking pose, and this is a silent pose. And then when you run that thing in Character Animator, that's compute movement from audio, could it run the version that VQA, or sorry, what's it called? Quick Action, Adobe Quick.
Yeah, whatever.
Audio, okay.
Animate from Audio, Quick Action.
Animate from Audio, Adobe Express Quick Action is using, that can hit poses that you have set as replay triggers. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't be on the website. It would be taking the magic that's being used in the website and putting it in the function that you can run in Character Animator on your own puppet.
Yeah, I've seen that as a comment on the latest YouTube thing. Is a lot of people saying, "Could we have this in the full Pro desktop version?" Just doing the arms alone, automatic arm movement would save so much time for a lot of people, and I feel that as well. Like with the consoles cartoons I'm doing, I feel like so much of my time is just spent doing those different arm motions, and wouldn't that be awesome if I could just automatically do it, even as just a first pass, and then I could go back and say, okay, let me tweak a few things to get it a little bit better. But that'd be a huge time saver to do something like that. So yeah, we're hearing your feedback. There's so much we could do, and it's hard to try to do everything, but thanks for the feedback and coming in. That's how we decide on what we want to do and what features to work on next. Let's see what else. Charity is saying, is there a book to learn all the features of Character Animator with tips and tricks? There is not a book, but honestly, I would say the YouTube tutorials are probably the best way to go. And those are nice because they come with the OK Samurai YouTube channel, or if you go to adobe.com/go/ch tutorials, and I think it's also when you click the little robot thing in the in the main home screen, it'll take you to that page. And that's basically the best place to learn because it'll talk about either the files that are already in the application itself on the home screen, or it'll include free downloadable files that you can use to use. And so you can just kind of work along with it and follow along with the audio. If I talk too fast, you can slow me down. If I'm talking too slow, you can speed me up on YouTube. So there's a lot of nice features like that should be helpful to doing it. But yeah, no book yet. I've heard some people have talked about like interest in it, and there were some ideas about possibly doing it at some point. But for now, I'd say go with the video tutorials.
You guys release features way too fast. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I have Photoshop books the Photoshop book is fine for like 5-7 years, but your book would last like 1 month before it was not comprehensive anymore. So until you guys slow down putting new stuff out, I don't think it can be in print. But you, Dave, you have like an index sort of like FAQs that link to places in your videos. I know Charity had mentioned she'd love to be able to like look up one specific thing. Yeah. And I actually reference that a lot. So I kind of do like, I'm not one to be able to like sit and watch a tutorial and then learn everything from it and then watch the next one. That's why I just like start out, I'm going to make something and then I'm just going to run into a problem and then I'm going to look up that specific problem. Your index there has been very helpful to me for that, where I'll be like, why don't the eyes work? Go to this thing. And you'll have a question on there that's like, why don't my eyes work? And I'll be like, perfect.
There you go.
Where is that? That's on your website, right? I always just Google for it, but
I think so. Yeah. So Charity, I would say look for that like Character Animator FAQ, OK Samurai, whatever. I hope that will come up, and hopefully that's a good searchable thing. There's also the Adobe help pages, which go into more detail. So if you're like, I saw your comment about, not wanting like videos and timestamps and wanting to just have a resource that you can just read and stuff like that. The help pages are definitely more like a instruction manual for the whole app and how it works. So if you're into that sort of thing, that works. Otherwise, I would look for that Character Animator FAQ, and that just has, how do I do, why is my, or, all the things that Emily was just talking about and how that all works. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I'll post it in the video description links as well, Charity. So check in a couple of hours. We'll put that up and make sure it's there. Red Fred Pro is asking, loopable replay triggers possible in the future. Dan, what do you think about this? Emily has her fingers crossed. And Dan, you've got an announcement to make today. No, just kidding.
I do.
That would be awesome.
So I will say that I think the triggers and replays section of Character Animator is one of the, most well thought out areas, and what maybe differentiate us from some other products. It's also a really complex area, and the engineer working on this has great ideas on how to another issue we're talking about is being able to pick a point to sustain while you hold down the trigger, because right now the logic is a little different. Yeah, looping replays, those are all great, and within the last week I've heard a dev meeting use the word looping replays, and we're talking about it. Definitely nothing to announce, but totally recognize that it kind of up levels what we can do, and I think it's an area of strength for the program, so I think there's a lot of logic to doing that. Oh, and then one thing in the chat, I see someone saying that the render as vector option is a little wonky. Any chance we're going to get an update to that? And I'm going to say realistically, I think no. We use a lot of Illustrator and Photoshop technology in order to get these things to render. And unfortunately, there's really no way to get those parts of Illustrator as a vector, which is why we have that upsampling option. So you can basically create a large raster and get all of the benefit of your Illustrator puppet. All that said, as Adobe is modernizing their documents, like if you've noticed, you use Photoshop and they're trying to save your documents on the cloud instead of on your computer. And I'm always like, no, I want it on my computer. So I think moving forward, there's going to be probably some really cool capabilities of these cloud documents. But, that's kind of a little farther along. But that's an explanation for why we're not investing in the old. Instead, we're investing in the new.
Good explanation. Someone, let me see if I can find them here. Okay, here we go. All Tags Psychology is saying, hey, from Germany, I develop learning games for children and would like to do a transition, zooming in, etc., while the character is talking. Is there a way to do it without After Effects? Yes, there is, and let me show you. So here I've got Character Animator open. I just brought in Stardust here and just a basic background color thing. And we do have this thing up here somewhere, Scene Camera. So if you do New Scene Camera, bring that in, that's going to add this new thing down here in your track called Camera. And what you can do is set all sorts of different things. So one of the ways I like to do it is you could keyframe it. So I could say, zoom, for example, you were talking about. So let's keyframe zoom right here. And let's say I go into like maybe 10 seconds. And let's keep that at 100%. So I'll just keep this there. And so far it hasn't done anything differently. But then I want to zoom in over 5 seconds a little bit closer. So I'll zoom in like this, and it automatically makes a keyframe. So now I've got this nice little camera system that I can do to zoom in and out. Now I can also keyframe position X and Y if I wanted to change kind of the horizontal or vertical change of that. I also have the ability to select these and turn them into hold keyframes, which means it'll just hold this position and this keyframe until I move on to the next one. There is a tutorial about cameras on the website, on the OK Samurai YouTube page, so check that out. It goes in a little more detail, including live cameras, where you can create triggers for cameras, and you can say, okay, when I press 1, I want to zoom in. When I press 2, I'm going to do a close-up. When I do 3, I want to do this, and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty cool system that we don't see, I think, integrated all that much. But like for me, I will do a lot of that work in After Effects or Premiere if I'm dynamic linking it. But if you just want to stick in Character Animator, totally possible to do. So yeah, I would check that out and see if that helps. Okay. So,
I actually have one quick note. This is kind of a public service announcement here. Let me find who said it. It was Jake Witzke. They asked a really great question. You make an edit in Photoshop or Illustrator, and then you come back to Character, and some of the artwork has shifted. I'm not talking about losing rigging. I'm saying you're like, the hat used to be on the head, and now it's like covering their mouth or, floating off to the side. And it's very frustrating and confusing. Unfortunately, this is a known bug, and we're not close to fixing it. It's very, very deep, and attempts to fix it have caused problems like internally. So unfortunately, there's a workaround for it. So if you need, sorry, I didn't explain what causes the bug. If you have a single layer, let's say you have a hat, and then you're bending your head or you're doing something and the hat's bending, you're like, oh, I want to make the hat independent. So you crown it in the puppet panel. Then you go into Photoshop and you make it a little bigger, say, and hit save. That's going to cause the bug. The workaround is to add the plus in Photoshop or Illustrator. That will do the same thing as making it independent. We're totally fine with crowns on groups, but crowning a single layer sometimes can cause problems. So at this point, I definitely just recommend making it a group and crowning the group. So it's a bummer, but you'll avoid a lot of like heartbreak and frustration by working with groups.
Yeah, and then I think if you've already done it and it's already like the hat is over here and you can't get it to move back, the quickest way I found to just fix that and move on and crown it different with the plus in the future, but is just make a duplicate of the hat. So in your Photoshop file, just make a new hat and in the same exact place, and delete the original one. And then when you go into Character Animator, it will be on the head, just like the way you see it in Photoshop. So yeah, just make a copy of the layer, delete out the one that is, askew, that's off in the wrong place in Character Animator, and you'll have kind of reset the positioning.
That's great. Pro level tip. You want to work at Nickelodeon? These are the tips you gotta do. So we're coming up on the end of the hour. I want to make sure people know where to find you all and connect. Emily, what's the best place for people to connect with you and see what you're up to?
So I'm on Instagram as John and Emmy, but I am very, very, very terrible at checking that. So truly, if you really do just want to connect with me or whatever, my email address, you see beneath my picture there, says Yo-Yo Emmy Jo. So I'm yoyoemmyjo@gmail, and you can just email me. So I'm old school like that. You just have to send me an email. Sorry, I technically am on Instagram and I have TikTok and stuff, but I really don't check it that often. So shoot me an email. I'll totally respond, I swear.
Awesome. And thanks so much for joining us today, Emily. It was awesome to have you and get your perspective on things. I think there were a lot of people out there in the audience who were like, I think this is going to help them tremendously. People who want to do a lot of the things you're doing. So best wishes for continued success, and thanks for helping out. Dan, where can people catch up with you and find out what you're up to?
Yeah, you ask that every time. I'm like, I'll check Twitter next time. But yeah, let's try that until Elon Musk makes me pay $8 to just have a Twitter account.
No, you have to get on Mastodon now.
Yeah.
No.
Oh God.
I mean,
What
I
Mastodon
like that
server
name.
you guys on? No, I haven't touched that.
I'm on it.
Yeah?
I'm on it.
Okay.
It's quiet and confusing. It's kind of like Discord. I don't know. But I'm on it technically.
Okay.
So you can
Go.
hit me up on Mastodon too.
Cool.
Yo-Yo Emmy. I'm Yo-Yo Emmy Jo there as well.
On Mastodon. All
There we
right.
go.
Uh-huh.
Sounds good. All right. So Dan, the best place, Nice Nelly on Twitter, the best place to.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Sure. Okay.
Go with that.
For now. And I obviously easy to get, if you're watching this video, you're on my channel, easy to get in touch with me. But yeah, Dan and Emily, thanks so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time on the next Character Chat. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dave. Bye, Emily.
Bye.
And scene.